Well, I'm very pleased to welcome two excellent people from Exceed. We've got Rasha Ez Aldin and Mohammed Osama Abbas, work at Exceed, which is a contact centre over in Egypt. We're going to be talking about all things Egypt over the next 30, 40 minutes, from the famous footballer Mo Salah through to the pyramids and on to the skills within the young workforce and what the economy is like in Egypt and many other things in between. But let's start by asking you both just to say a little bit about what you do at Exceed and what your job roles are. Rasha, perhaps starting with you.
So thank you so much, Simon, for this and much pleasure for having this webinar. I'm the Sales and Marketing Director at Exceed, and I'm carrying out all of the sales and business development activities in addition to the marketing department. I'm with Exceed since the launch. Started with the technical background and then switched to the business area. Yeah,
thank you. Mohammed?
Well, thank you again for the possibility and the chance to have this webinar. So my name is Mohammed Osama. I've joined Exceed since 2002. I've been responsible for the project management and the quality assurance, and lately I'm responsible for the HR as well. So it has been a long, journey with Exceed, which is actually very, very happy with what we've reached through the years. Thank you.
And actually, Simon, here we are having this webinar in front of the pyramid. If you can see it clearly, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. Well, it's the most exotic and exceptionally beautiful site that we've ever done a Downtown in Business webinar from. So thank you for that. It's a great.
You have to join us. Next time you have to join us. In the same place. It's a very, marvelous location to see the pyramids from.
And it's almost 20 minutes from our office, Smart Village site.
It's fantastic.
We occasionally come here for a change and grabbing a cup of coffee. So this is why we just decided to make a change rather than having the webinar inside the office.
It's a nice change, I have to say. I'm a little envious actually, but let me ask you, Mohammed. Let me start by asking you about this great footballer. What does he mean to Egypt? Why is he so? Obviously, he's important because he's a great footballer. But what else?
Well, actually, Mo Salah is more of a, you can say that he's an icon now for the Egyptians. Maybe I believe that he's one of the best players that has played in Egypt and outside of Egypt. So the thing is that I think that he's the best player that ever played in the Premier League, and he proved that during the years. It was not an easy, I think, a journey again for him, but he proved himself through the years, and now I think he's one of the top scorers in the Premier League. And nevertheless, that's just giving you a bit of the talents that you can find within the Egyptian people. There are lots in different areas in different aspects of life. So you can find, for example, of course, Mo is the most famous now, but there are others. For example, we have Sir Dr. Magdi Yaou.
Yeah.
He's quite famous. He's been
Sir Magdi Yaou.
Yes,
right.
That's what I said. So he's been living in the United Kingdom for the last, I think, 20 or maybe 30 years.
Yeah.
So and Egypt has always been known for the talents that you can find within Egypt. In the cinema, in the music industry. So it's not just Mo Salah, but others as well.
And just sticking with what you were talking about there, you touched upon it, a very skilled young workforce in Egypt, a very talented young skilled workforce.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I'm trying to say, is that you can always find, because of course Egypt we have a population of more than 100 million. So you definitely have a lot of possibilities to find the caliber and the culture that we've always been known for. So with the
metropolitan culture.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, metropolitan culture. We've always been having different. Yes, a lot of foreigners that have been living in Egypt. So this culture just led the way to have certain talents in different areas of the world. You can find this. I've just mentioned. You can find musicians. You can find artists. You can find writers. that's something about Egypt. And of course, I'm not going to say that, okay, you can see that 7,000 years just behind us now.
True. Yeah, well, and I think some of all what you've described there is due to its location. It's very much facing Europe. It's very close to Europe. It's a gateway to Africa, but it's also a gateway to the Middle East. So it sits at a pivotal place, doesn't it, in the world where cultures and where cultures meet, really.
It's a centralized location. So I mean, we always say that Egypt is just in the middle of the world. I mean, it's very close to Europe.
In the heart of the world.
Yes,
how they call it.
Yes.
Yeah. In the heart of the three continents. Yeah.
Yes.
Where it is near everywhere. So we're extremely near to Europe, extremely near to the Middle East and the Gulf in specific. And we're what they call the heart of Africa. So it's the location is always giving us an edge. Let's call it like this.
Rasha, staying with you, how is the economy in Egypt, and what's been the impact of the pandemic? How are things working out?
Yeah, so we went very good in Egypt, and there was a lot of activities and decisions that originally starting from maybe back 2016, the government had made, and this had paid back, and we had this had shown how the effect of such decision on the infrastructure, on the economy. So in specific for the ICT sector, a lot of investment had been done under the ICT 2030 strategy, yes. Where a lot of activities covering digital government service, infrastructure upgrades, all of these activities had been give us a very good edge and showed how we were able and robust to face the pandemic. Yeah, we were affected definitely, but I mean, just like
yes,
yeah,
it's just like the whole world that Egypt has been. I'm sorry, just I jumped in. So what happened is that definitely Egypt was impacted, but the good thing about the Egyptian, maybe the government, they were a bit of ready to retain or to go back to as much as possible to the normal situation. There are sectors that have been affected totally. I mean, like definitely tourism has been affected.
But like any other.
But the good thing is that we are recovering now. The number of people or the number of tourists has increased within the last year, and this year as well. It had showed that things are going back to normal to a certain extent.
So the economy is quite robust in Egypt. Things are relatively strong.
Yeah, definitely. And let me tell you something that we've been ranked during Feb 2020 that Egypt ranked among countries that can face economic shocks. This report by Fitch has shown how Egypt was able to show growth and to reach, I mean, better economic signs in such a way.
Yeah, and you mentioned a couple of the sectors. My question really is about which are the strongest sectors. Obviously, people know Egypt from the UK for its tourism, but very strong, as you pointed out, Rasha, very strong investment into ICT technology. Yes. Any other strong? What are the other strong sectors in the country?
So there is other one, just like textile production, steel and ceramic. What else, Mohammed?
Well, actually, I think one of the most strongest or the strongest sectors you can find is the gas extraction. So within Egypt, I mean, we have found a lot of gas. So it is something that is very promising within Egypt. Definitely as a usage of the power. So that's giving us in other sectors as well to have the required power to use it with the gas and of course with the oil as well. We are a producer of oil, but the gas is something that has been added lately. I mean, well, actually not very lately, maybe 15, 20 years ago, but a lot of shows has happened within the last 2 or 3 years that is giving us a big growth within the years. I mean, so we're depending on that. As Rasha has mentioned, steel, textile production, Agriculture, of course. Egypt has always been known for the export of fruits to the region. So.
And even the tourism was affected, but the government have made some activities. I'm quite sure that you have followed the Mummies Parade.
Okay.
Yeah. Where 22 mummies, 18 kings and 4 queens was transported from the Egyptian museum to the new resting place. It's 5 kilometers away. I think we can share the video. We saw a lot of news was sharing this. It was really something that had been spotting light the tourism and helping the sector coming back, let's call more or faster than any.
Well, the most important maybe event that's going to happen shortly is the Grand Egyptian Museum to be opened. I believe it's going to be opened by the end of this year. Something that has, I mean, maybe it's the biggest.
It's one of the big soft launch now.
I don't think so. No, it's going to be opening by the end of this year.
Yeah.
So it's a Grand Egyptian Museum to be open, and it's a big event that's going to happen.
And just staying with that, just tell me why UK business might look to Egypt, might want to do business with Egypt. You've got to obviously, because you work in it as well, but you've got a very strong BPO back office processing business sector in Egypt. That's one reason that people would look to Egypt, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Multiple reasons. Regardless of the accessibility standpoint that we were just mentioning, that Cairo is much closer to London, UK, comparing to many competing markets.
Yeah.
But also, let's call the talent pool. The biggest talent pool in Egypt is the English one, native English. Let's call it like this, with no accent. The company infrastructure, as we were discussing, and last but not least, we don't always like to emphasize on this, but we definitely are having a very competitive cost compared to other offshoring destinations. So it's definitely notable lower than any. I don't want to mention specific market, but let's call the key demand markets like this.
And I think I'm right in saying, because I was doing a bit of reading around the subject, Egypt, out of all the contact center locations across the world, Egypt consistently performs well in terms of a favored location by those people who are wishing to commission contact center support. That's right, isn't it?
Yes, yes. So it's one of the fastest growing emerging markets, the multilingual talents, the infrastructure, the competitive cost, the government support, if you'd like to say, and definitely the geographical location. A lot of entrepreneurial environment, the environment is really pushing the entrepreneurial to do a lot of activities here, and we can see a lot of companies that are a lot of activities and companies and activities are having here in Egypt, where the government is backing and supporting heavily. Let's call it.
Yeah. And just coming back to the pandemic, you guys run a big operation in terms of contact centers. Obviously, the pandemic would have an impact, but with the ICT investment, the broadband investment that's gone into Egypt, that I'm presuming that enabled you to pivot, as they say nowadays, and do more home working with your agents and things. Is that right?
Yes, definitely.
Definitely. Actually, one of the actions that was taken is actually moving a lot of the agents to work from home. Of course, taking into consideration all the aspects of security to make sure a secure business, a secured environment, even if they're working from home.
And this came because we've been always focusing on the business continuity.
Yeah.
And this is what helped us have this smooth transition and have the setup in just a very much, let's call, short time.
It's actually more than 60% of the workforce has moved from the office to their homes. And this was done, as Russia's just mentioned, in a very short period of time. Due to the fact, of course, the infrastructure that enabled us to do that. On another note, we had actually early exercises maybe in the, I think it was maybe 5 or 7, 8 years ago, of trying to do some business from home as a backup. If something goes wrong, you still can have an access via homes. So we're a bit prepared on that, and it showed a lot of success. And I think things are not going to be the same again. I mean, working from the office is definitely, I don't want to say a word from the past, but something that is an action that is going to be different after the pandemic, definitely.
Yeah, and it is where the resilience that we built, or the strategy of the resilience, as Muhammad was mentioned, is the culture. We've been building the culture, the trust, the openness, and the loyalty of the employees, to where they assume the ownership to continue delivery of the services in the event of any disruptions. So this is where we were always able to find the suitable response to any crisis or any disruptions that it could happen.
That's really positive, really impressive. And tell us a little bit more about AboutExceed then. Where did it come from? How did it grow? And what's its capacity these days?
Yeah, so we're almost 20 years of experience. During September, we will be celebrating 20 years of operation in Exceed. We will be, Exceed is known for the high quality service across numerous industries. We're now 18,000 employees with 10K seats. And as we were mentioning, 8,000 remote agents, 8,000 plus remote agents working from home. We serve Europe, North America, in addition to the Gulf. What we want to say here, that the 8,000 remote agents have been able to migrate most of all of these 8,000 in I think 4 to 6 weeks. Like this.
Well, I think 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah. So and let me tell you more about I mean, the work from home, where we had an extra mile rather than let's call having work from home, because yet still working from home strategy was applying all the security aspects, and still there is a possibility, or there is a risk, let's call, for working from home. So for some of our clients whom they have security
higher measures of security,
where they don't allow the work from home, we have rented a hotel, small hotel, definitely not a big one, in Egypt and in Morocco too, where agents were accommodated in these hotels. We transferred most of the halls in this hotel to a working environment, semi-working environment. Definitely, it's not just identical like the other ones, where agent could live and work in this what they call it, social bubble. Carrying out the work, and definitely taking care of the agents, and keeping the measure of the safe of their lives too.
I want to add something about that, is that the 18,000 employees are found across different locations. So we have a location in Morocco, we have a location in Mauritius, and of course we have Egypt. We have, I think, 6 or 7 sites within Egypt. So I mean, we're not only found in Egypt, but in different locations as well within Africa.
The company also had one of the activities we carried out during the pandemic, or as soon as the pandemic started, was the support line for the pandemic. The hotline for the pandemic was hosted also in Exceed.
Of course, the one serving Egypt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that shows governments having confidence in you being able to deliver, doesn't it? And I love the idea of the social bubble within the hotel. That's a really innovative solution, not least when tourism was quiet and the hotel would be empty. So it's a really smart solution to what was an issue. And the fact that you've got various locations also helps with business continuity as well, doesn't it, naturally? But tell us, in terms of Exceed, what sort of sectors do you concentrate on, or is there any particular sectors you specialize in? What channels do you use?
So we do have experience with most of the clients across different sectors. So we have experience with the telecoms, the technology, tourism, automotive, fast-moving consumer goods, healthcare, fast food. We really have experience with most of the sectors. Let's call it like this.
And what? Tell me a bit about Exceed in relation to the UK market. Do you have any clients in the UK or in Ireland?
Well, actually, one of our first clients was Microsoft in Ireland, and that was a turning point for Exceed. That was back to 2004, 2003, when we started working with Microsoft International, and actually we visited Ireland at the same time, at the time. So we have clients that do speak the English. I mean, that we serve in English. So definitely the UK and Ireland is part of, and that was Microsoft. So it was serving at the time these places, these locations.
Yeah, and it was also covering multiple languages. It wasn't only covering English. Yeah,
it was non-languages at the time, non-languages at the time. And this is one of the things maybe that we haven't mentioned, that I think you can seldom find a place with 9 or 10 languages that you can serve from the same location with a very high proficiency, if you might say.
Yeah, we do have the English, the French, even the French, Canadian, the Italian,
Japanese, Chinese,
Spanish,
Greek.
Yeah. And Arabic.
Of course, and Arabic.
Yeah, the German also. I don't know if you mentioned.
German.
Yeah.
It's very impressive.
Well, actually, we've served even Portuguese from Egypt.
Mm.
Yeah, of course, with a smaller number, but we have the possibility.
And there is some Chinese also.
We have Chinese.
Yeah, but let's call it here that it is
small numbers.
Small numbers. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, the idea of having, the portfolio of the languages.
Yeah. So I mean, the numbers for the English
is the biggest.
Is the biggest, definitely. The French comes afterwards. Italian, German, and Spanish are available as well. Other languages definitely are available as well in smaller numbers. You can find, as I just mentioned, the Greek is a possibility, the Chinese is a possibility as well.
So just tell us, are Exceed looking to do more in the UK market?
Yeah, definitely. This webinar is one of the activities which are focusing on the UK market. And we're also engaged in multiple activities, like worth mentioning that we've been shortlisted in the GSA UK Professional Awards under category of Best Corporate Response for the COVID-19. This was 2019, the last 2020.
2020 reward.
2020 reward. So yes, we're doing a lot of activities. We're much focusing on the market. And we're looking forward more and more activities.
So actually, I think we have mentioned before that the English has always been one of the, important languages that we have within Egypt, with the numbers of young people that do speak the language proficiently. So it's of an interest always to serve the UK, and it goes without saying that the logical. That's a logical direction to do that.
Yeah, and because the countries have such strong ties as well, And are we likely to see in the UK later this year, perhaps, when things have calmed down a bit post-pandemic, or certainly into 2022? You're planning to visit us? Yeah,
sure. We're planning, and we're already starting to do some planning for doing this, and definitely we'll be interested to arrange a sort of an event for hosting some of interested clients or prospects to explain more and dig deep in more and add more details.
And watch one of the football, I mean, with Mo Salah in or something like that with the Liverpool. So maybe it could be a good timing to do that.
Yeah,
I think that's an excellent idea, Mohammed. Combine the two, yeah, absolutely. And that leads into my final question, actually. I just wanted to ask you, I know you're both very dedicated to the work that you do, and you've both been at Exceed for a considerable amount of time now. So what do you do to relax? What do you do in your leisure time? Starting with you, Rasha, and then I'll ask Mohammed.
Yeah, actually, we're always trying to do a lot of activities to, I mean, not make the work just grab us. So it's something like what we are here, enjoying the weather, doing some activities, maybe having some swimming, staying in the sun. Definitely.
It is very warm now, so I mean, it is very.
Yeah, and Mohammed likes also singing, so we sometimes.
So I do, I like a lot of reading. Do a lot of reading, in my spare time, and do some playing of music and singing, a bit of singing as well.
Yeah. He's the only one who believes that his voice is good.
I'm the only, my only fan. I'm the only fan for myself.
No, he's very nice. He's doing a lot of nice activities in this.
Well, just finally, you mentioned previously about the visa situation in Egypt and the UK. How does that work, and how easy is it?
Well, it's just a straightforward process. There's no problem. I mean, getting a visa. Actually,
it's a portal, actually,
it's a portal,
where you apply online.
And actually, we're doing the service for this for the visas.
Yeah,
so,
Exceed is the support line for the national visa, the Egyptian national visa.
Oh, right. I didn't realize that. Excellent. Great. Yeah. Well, you're doing a lot of crucial work. There's no doubt about that. It's been
that is something that's really critical. I mean, most of the critical things like the emergency numbers you can find within Exceed. So this is one of the things.
The ambulance support.
The ambulance support.
The
ambulance support
is in Egypt. Part of it is in Egypt. Yeah.
Part of it is within Exceed.
Yeah,
it's very impressive. Let me bring it to a close there, but it's been an absolute delight to speak to you both, Rasha, Mohammed. Enjoy the rest of your week, and thanks for sharing your thoughts. It's been really good. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Sure.
Pleasure is all us.
Thank you so much. Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed that video, then please subscribe to our YouTube channel on the link below, and be among the first to get to listen to all the latest interviews through the Downtown Den.